So what if there was a way to create your own algorithm and build a system that forces your best content in front of your warmest leads every single day, whether you post anything or not? Well, there is. And in this video, I'm going to show you the new way to get more leads and sales in 2026 without going viral or spending a fortune on paid ads. And to start, you first need to understand the real problem facing businesses right now. Because in 2026, we're in the middle of something I call a believability recession. Every teenager and first-time agency owner on the internet is making some crazy offer and promising that they'll help you make an extra $50K a month in the next 5 days, or you can fuck their wife and steal their dog. And for 99% of them, they're making an offer they can't actually fulfill. And so what that means is that your prospects are more skeptical than ever, right? They've bought courses that didn't deliver. They've hired coaches that talked a good game but then disappeared after a month. They've seen the same promises and guarantees so many fucking times that their brain has basically built an immune system to your marketing. And to make matters worse, there's so much information, so many new technologies, and so many competing opinions that even if someone trusts you, that doesn't mean they'll believe that what you sell is the right solution for them. I mean, just think about how many creators you follow who are genuinely great at what they do. All right, you know them, you like them, you trust them, and you still haven't given them a single penny because you don't believe that their offer is the best and only solution to the problem you're trying to solve. Well, the exact same thing is happening to your prospects right now, which is exactly why so many coaches and consultants are seeing higher costs to acquire customers, longer sales cycles, and more objections on their calls. Because simply put, people are slower to believe that you can actually help them. They need more time with your brand. They have more objections to overcome and more beliefs that need to shift before they'll book a call and buy your stuff. And the way that most business owners are trying to solve this is either by spending even more money on their top of funnel ads and hoping that they can turn a stranger into a buyer on day one, or they're spending all of their time creating content and praying that the algorithm gods give them a viral hit that drives more leads and sales. But there's a new way that 99% of business owners miss that allows them to stay in front of their best leads and guarantees that they see their best belief-shifting arguments until eventually people close themselves and come to you ready to buy. And in fact, this is the exact strategy that my coach used on me to get me to write a check for $25,000 without getting on a sales call or having an hour-long DM conversation. It's called retargeting. And the thing is, most business owners are using it in the complete wrong way. And so as a result, they're leaving millions of dollars on the table and making business way harder than it needs to be. So I'm going to walk you through the 4 steps to use this tool the right way so you can blow up your business for less than $50 a day, whether you're creating content or not. And it starts with step 1, which is something that I call creating the belief ladder. And this is really the core principle that makes this strategy work, right? Because at the end of the day, the only goal of marketing, whether it's organic content or top of funnel ads or retargeting, is to get your prospects to believe that what you sell is the best and only way to get what they want. Because if they believe that you have the solution to a painful problem, well, they'll buy your stuff. So the goal isn't to hammer your audience with random content or more ads pitching your shit. It's to figure out the specific beliefs that are stopping them from buying and then create strategic content to shift each one. Specifically, there are 3 buckets that we want to focus on. Right? The first is what they believe about the problem keeping them stuck. Because chances are your prospects believe that the reason they're stuck is something other than what you actually solve. Right? You're selling YouTube consulting, but they think the problem is that they need better DM ads. Or maybe you're selling mindset coaching to help people change their relationship with food, but they believe that the real problem is they need a better workout routine. Or maybe you're selling coaching to help men improve themselves and fix their marriage, but they believe the real problem is that their wife is just a cold, heartless bitch. And until they believe that the problem you solve is the problem keeping them stuck, they won't care about your offer or your mechanism or your testimonials. So we want to create content that gets them to believe that the real reason they're stuck is because they haven't solved the problem that you and your offer solve. Then the second bucket is that we need to figure out what they believe about the solution, right? Because even if someone believes that the real problem is what you solve, there are still all of these other beliefs that could stop them from buying. You know, if we go back to the YouTube consultant, maybe their prospects do believe that they need a long-form YouTube channel to nurture their leads and get more sales. But they believe that they don't have the time to record new videos every week, or they believe that they're bad on camera, or they believe they can just figure out how to do it themselves. And every one of these objections is a belief that you need to shift before they'll ever pull out their credit card. So in this bucket, we want to create content that shifts their beliefs around the solution and gets them to believe that it's the fastest, easiest, and most predictable way to solve the problem from bucket 1. And then finally, the third belief is what they believe about you and your offer, right? Because even if they believe in the right problem and the right solution, they still have to believe that you and your offer are the right vehicle to solve it, right? You need to show them that you know your shit and that out of the thousands of options that they could pick, you're the best person to help them get results. And the thing is, when you know the specific beliefs you need to shift and you know the sequence that you need to shift them in, every piece of content that you create now has a specific job. Every ad moves your prospect up the belief ladder and one rung closer to the sale. And then by the time they reach out, they aren't just warm, right? They're pre-sold, because your retargeting shifted every belief and addressed every objection and got them to close themselves. Which brings us to step 2, which is building your audience. This strategy only works when the algorithm you're creating is targeting the right people. And the problem is, so many coaches and consultants are too broad with their content and ads. And so they end up building an audience of unqualified leads who will never buy. And because they don't have any sort of filters inside of their creatives or content, what ends up happening is that they have thousands of people clicking on their shit and watching their videos, but only 5 to 10% of those people are actually qualified for the big ticket thing that they're selling. And so the way that we fix this is by creating content and running top of funnel ads with some sort of quality filter. Right? So for example, if you run Facebook ads for small businesses, you could add a quick line in your ads that says, "This only works if you have $5,000 to invest in marketing." Or if you're a mindset coach who helps entrepreneurs improve their performance, you could add a simple line in your copy that just says, "For 6 and 7-figure entrepreneurs only." And then once we have these filters in place, we want to build our retargeting audience based around the highest intent behaviors. Right? Typically, this is going to be people who watch 75% or more of your long form ads, people who've watched your VSL, people who've clicked through on your application page, or people who started booking a call and then stopped. Right? Because if they made it through the first filter and still engaged with your stuff or started to take the next step, odds are good that they're interested in what you sell and just need a few beliefs shifted before they buy. Then, once you have a pool of qualified prospects and a bank of targeted belief shifting content, we move on to step 3, which is to actually launch the system. And even though this is simple, there are a few steps that we want to take to make sure that we get it right. So what you're going to do is you're going to come into the Meta Ads Manager or whatever other platform you're using, and we're going to create one campaign with anywhere from 15 to 30 ad sets, depending on your budget. Right? And when we're setting this up, we want to optimize for video views, not sales. And this is actually really important because you've got to remember that our goal here isn't to hammer people with direct response ads until they convert. It's to shift the specific beliefs stopping them from buying until they close themselves and come to you. And so if you're popping up in their feed with an ad that looks like an ad, they'll typically just scroll past your shit. And Blair Warren had a great quote about this in his book, The Forbidden Keys of Persuasion, where he said, "People resist unwelcome attempts to persuade them, but they can't resist what they don't detect." And so when you optimize for video views without any sort of link or call to action, your advertising becomes almost invisible, right? It blends into their feed and it just looks like another video suggested by the algorithm, which means that they're much more likely to actually watch and engage. So once we've set that up, the next thing that we want to do is to set up a frequency cap to make sure that people aren't seeing the same content over and over and over again. And there aren't really any hard and fast rules, but personally, I like to set up my ads with a cap of around 2 views for every 7 days. That way, at most, they see the same post twice in 1 week. Then we're going to go ahead and set up the budget, and because video views tend to be one of the cheapest conversion events, you can make this strategy work with as little as $2 to $3 a day per ad set. Now, after that's done, we're going to go ahead and set up your audiences. Again, these are going to be things like 75% video viewers, landing page visitors, email subscribers, and booked calls. And we want to make sure that we exclude this little button here to make sure that Meta doesn't just go and burn through your budget on people who aren't going to be a good fit. And then all that's left to do is to load up the creatives and press publish. And there you go. If you did all this correctly, you now have a system where your best prospects are seeing your best content every day for the price of a mediocre dinner at Applebee's. And now, every time they open up their phone, you're showing up in their feed, shifting their beliefs, pre-handling their objections, and moving them one step closer to the sale. And the thing is, this algorithm will work for you 24/7, whether you show up to the office or not. But most business owners fuck this up because they don't know how to design a campaign to shift the right beliefs at the right time with the right evidence, which is exactly what I cover in this video here.